G'day everyone. Today we're going to change out this Toyota Hilux auxiliary drive belt. It's on the 1KD FTV 3 litre diesel engine, 2005 through to 2011. Now this one here with the two arrows, that is the tensioner. We're going to put a 14mm socket onto that and we're going to turn it in a tightening direction, and that is going to move the tensioner out of the way to loosen off the belt, just like this. It's pretty tight. I've got a single hex 14mm socket on it for that reason. We don't want to damage the head of the bolt. And I've got a fairly long 3/8 ratchet moving it out of the way. You want to give yourself as much length as possible because it is pretty tight. So I'm just going to move it out of the way here. I'm going to use this podgy bar to pull the belt out of the way. I'm in the way of my own production here a bit, but we just take the tension off the tensioner and we just pull the belt out of the way off the water pump and fan assembly here. Once we've got it off the water pump and fan assembly, we can then hook it off the air conditioner like I'm just doing now. Once the tension's off the belt, you can get in there and you can use your hands to move it around. I like to use the crow's foot bar. You just don't want your fingers anywhere near the belt when it's under tension, so it's always a very good idea to just use a screwdriver or lever bar or something that you've got just to keep your fingers out of the way of all the tension here. If you slip on the tensioner, the belt will tighten up and it'll take your fingers off, so just be very careful. Once the belt's loose and we're no longer leaning on the tensioner, we can get in there with the hands and we can move the belt that way. We just need to get the belt clear of the fan. It's got to go over the fan into the fan shrouding like I'm doing here, and then we'll pull it out from between the fan shroud and the fan assembly to remove the old belt. This particular belt's done about 100,000 Ks. I changed all the pulleys last time I did the belt, so this time we're going to leave them as they are. There's nothing particularly wrong with this belt, it's just time for a change, and there's a bit of a noise coming from the front end. I just want to investigate. Okay, I've got the new belt that's been sitting in the back of my ute for a couple of years. We're going to check the part number, 7PK, it's a 7 rib belt, 1515 is the length. They're exactly the same, which is good. We're going to change like for like. Now, I am checking the pulleys while I'm here. It's a very good idea. You've got the belt off. Have a look. These pulleys do a lot of work. They cop all the dust in the front of the engine here. Just make sure everything, including the water pump here, check the end play of the water pump. Everything spins quietly, smoothly, and there's no real end play. I'm a bit dubious about this here. Now, this is the air conditioner idler pulley when the air conditioner is not operational. There's a bearing in there that allows the aircon to idle, and that is on its way out. I've ordered a new one and we're going to change it out. I guess that's going to be my next video, but that's on its way. In the meantime, I'll put the new belt on. I think it will last the couple of weeks it's going to take me to get a new one. The belt here, we're just going to put it back inside the fan shroud and back over the fan here. The fan will turn. You can move it out of the way as you required, like I'm doing. Get the belt back behind the fan in a sort of the position where you want to put it, and then we're going to put it over all the bottom stuff first. You want it over the crank, just lay it over the water pump. You want to get it over the alternator. Very important here, any grooved pulley gets the grooved side of the belt. Any smooth pulley gets the smooth side of the belt. It's a good way so you can't really go too wrong. Smooth against smooth, grooved against grooved. It's a very good rule of thumb when it comes to the front of this engine. Pulling this top pulley out like I have done here, that's the one there, just removed, makes your life a lot easier. If you take that pulley out, it's also a 14mm socket. We can basically drop the belt on over everything except for the air conditioner. And then with the same ratchet and 14mm socket here, we can put a bit of tension off the tensioner, just like this, and then drop the belt over the air conditioner idler pulley. It's pretty straightforward. And once we've got all the belt on, we're happy it's through all the accessories and the right routing, we can then put that idler pulley that we've removed back on to the front of the housing of the engine there. It's a much easier way. I always find it easy to remove that pulley. It's at the very top of the engine. Get it out of the way. It makes it much easier to get the belt on. I've just got to get the belt over the alternator here. There we go. So the belt's in the correct routing there. It's still very loose even with the tensioner tensioned. And now all we need to do, take the tensioner back and put the pulley back onto the front of the engine like I'm about to do here. So we just take the tensioner off here, take a bit of slack. It is pretty tight. You just got to lean on it. If you get the ratchet in the right spot, you can just sort of lean it against the water pump there. And we're just going to put this pulley back on. I find this is a much easier way of doing it. You can leave the pulley on and you can work around it, but for the 2 seconds it takes to remove This idle pulley here, much easier job. Take it off, get the belt in the routing correctly, and then you can just wind it on like we're going to do here. I'm just going to wind it on with this electric ratchet once we've got it started, so we don't strip any threads out of that aluminium housing. And we just wind it all the way home, and we just make sure the belt is still correct and the routing's all good once we take the tensioner off. Make sure we tighten up that idler pulley as well. It's the same 14mm socket. I'm just going to use the same ratchet. It does rotate in the tightening direction, but you just want to make sure that it's tight. There is a torque spec for that as well. You don't want to go too tight either, I guess. Once you've got that idler pulley back on, just double check everything's routed correctly. The belt hasn't slipped off in any direction. If you're happy that it's all good, you can start the engine up, let it idle for a little bit, switch the engine off, and just double check everything's still where it should be. Once you've done that, that is pretty much job done. It's an easy 10-minute job you can do at home with minimal tools. I hope it's helped. Thank you very much for watching.